Hi and welcome to Blue Pigment Podcast. This podcast is to help highlight the individuals that express themselves through creativity. I'm talking about audio forms of art such as poetry, music, singing, comedy, or even storytelling. The podcast usually follows a format where I introduce you to an artist and their creative way of expressing themselves. We then move on to a few adverts which you may want to pay attention to because there could be a discount code in it for you. From there, the majority of the podcast is a discussion with a guest on a form of art and the way in which they express themselves through that creativity. I hope you enjoy the podcast. If you do, please like, share and subscribe. A Line in the Sand by Clive Sanders. There's a moment in every soldier's life when he faces a line in the sand. He must make the soldier's decision, which is whether to flee or stand. It may come in the heat of battle, or in an instant that is not fully planned. He may have to face a challenge or trial without having his weapon to hand. It may come when it's never expected, from an issue so tame and bland. It may come from just around the corner, or a fight in some faraway land. But whatever the cause of the problem that triggers the adrenaline gland, the soldier will have but a moment to choose if he crosses the line in the sand. Hello everyone, you're listening to Blue Pigment Podcast. If you want to become a patron of this show, please go to patreon.com/bluepigment. You will be helping me help the talent that I find along the way. Not only that, the podcast is an advocate for mental health and the positive message in which we want to send about mental health. So if you are a bit about that and you want to jump on board, then please become a patron at patreon.com/bluepigment. Would love to have you on board. And not only that, you'll get the chance to get some free stuff. I'll be giving another big giveaway soon. To find out what it is, go to patreon.com/bluepigment, become a patron and get yourself some free stuff. Blue Pigment Podcast is sponsored by Huscarl. Go to huscarl.co.uk and use the discount code BluePigment for 15% off. Get yourself some t-shirts, stickers, baseball caps, hoodies, printouts, and many more products from Huscarl. Blue Pigment Podcast, sponsored by Huscarl. Welcome everybody. Today I'm joined by Brandi Benson. She's the CEO of Resume Advantage. An employment service for both civilians and those transitioning into civilian street for the military. She has a bachelor's degree in communications and journalism and a master's in fine arts in writing.
Yes.
She's the author of The Enemy Inside Me, a Sarcoma survivor and ambassador. And your mission from your bio, I read, is to create the blueprint and resources for survivors to take charge of their healing and wellness.
Yes.
Sounds like a real positive message. You're also an Iraq war veteran, and you've done a number of different speeches, including for Rolls-Royce.
Yeah.
And award-winning storyteller and speaker in America. That's amazing. That's come on. What kind of bio is that's? Like the world's best bio. Who doesn't want to get you onto a podcast and talk?
Right? How cool is that? It's awesome. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be here and just to be able to share my story with all your viewers and listeners. So thank you.
Okay, brilliant. So yeah, let's dive into it then. So what part of the service were you in when you were in Iraq? In Iraq?
I was in the Army. I was in from 2008 to 2013. And originally I joined the military, for a bunch of different reasons. I really wanted stability. My little sister had joined the military. I think I was 23 at the time, and she was much younger than me, but she had starting her career, doing all these great things. And I'm in college, I have student loan debt. It's I really need to be doing something with my life. Like if my little sister is going to like make the first move and do something career wise, like I need to follow her footsteps. So I ended up joining, kind of being kind of competitive, I guess you can say, but that's the whole, one of the premises is why is I wanted to catch up with my sister. And I also wanted stability, you know, the military really does provide a good support system for you.
Yeah, the military is, you know, despite what you may see on the mainstream media about people coming out of military situations with PTSD, that the actual being in the military is really good for your mental health, because you've got a good routine, good fitness, good nutrition, good social and community. So yeah, it is really good for that. So you left in 2013, and then is that when you went to your employment services, or?
Yeah. So so when I joined the military, of course, we all have like our own plans of how we think life is going to turn out. So I thought I was going to be in like we call them a lifer. So I thought I was going to be in forever, 20 plus years. I thought I was going to go green to gold, which is like from being enlisted to an officer. So I had all these really great plans. I wanted to do all these amazing things, travel around the world, all that fun stuff. But then I ended up getting sick with cancer while I was deployed in Iraq. And so that kind of like halted everything. So when you're in the military, you need to be able to run, jump, crawl on the ground, do all these really important things if you get deployed again. Like you have to defend your country, defend your life, all of that. So I ended up getting cancer in my leg, which was not a great thing, of course, but you need strong, good legs to be in the military, like that's something that's really important. That's one of like the main qualifications, like you need your limbs, right? And so this leg of mine was, very weak. I had a huge muscle taken out of my leg, my adductor muscle to be exact. And so I can't run, jump, sprint, do all these things that I need to do. And I just knew that if I got deployed again, I would be like a hindrance, my battle buddies would have to watch over me. I can't watch over them. Like who wants to be paired up with somebody who's kind of disabled, and we need a really strong and able body on the field, in war and action. So I just kind of removed myself from the military, not wanting to, because I had this untimely disease. I was really sad, really nervous. And just to know that what I had planned was not what was going to be happening. Like I had to get out now. Like, what is my plan B? I never had a plan B. What does that look like? I thought my life was only going to be the military. This was going to be my career, my job. So when I had to get out in 2013, of course, I'm going through depression a little bit. I have lots of anxiety. I don't know what's going to be happening. I have no clue, but I know I can't stay in. So of course, like my mental health declines quite a bit. And I go through this process called ACAP. I don't know if it's called that anymore, but it's when they're transitioning you out of the military. And then I just noticed that like everybody had the exact same resumes. Like there was nothing different about it. There's nothing that made you stand out. It was very cookie cutter. And I'm like, I don't feel like this is providing me with the most resources and success to be successful outside of the military, So I was like, okay, if this is like a problem and other people are experiencing this, I should probably open up a business. And so I opened up Resume Advantage a couple of years later, and it was geared towards people like me who were getting out of the military, transitioning from, the military to the civilian sector, and just trying to, bridge in that gap, because I know the quality of resumes that we were getting back in 2013 weren't good. And so Resume Advantage was birthed, and now I help individuals who are getting out, coming to the civilian sector, and translating and communicating their experience and value on paper and making them stand out as well.
That's a fantastic. I mean, if you can't be part of the service anymore because of your cancer, but you can still be of service to the service and to the men and women. So that's a fantastic. And it must, from going from being the traumatization of having cancer and the realization and maybe the bout of depression that you said of, not being able to fulfill that role. And then now being the CEO of the company and being able to give back and still be able to be that sort of military themed person who can, help their country and help their fellow service person through that. That must give you a bit of a high, knowing you're helping people out.
It's good, and I didn't even like realize that until like maybe like a couple of years ago. It's like, oh, I'm still able to, provide a service and still help, in that area. It didn't like click on me until I did a podcast and people were like, no, you're still helping out. I'm like, you're right. I am. So it's cool. I think it's good. Even though I can't like, boots on the ground, I could still help them transition out. So it's cool.
So the stuff that I see on your Instagram mostly is a lot to do with the cancer that you had. Are you happy to talk about that?
Yes. Oh my gosh. So I had something called Ewing sarcoma cancer. It's very rare. It's really aggressive. And it's usually found in young. So like, we'll say like 15 to 17, like 10 to 15-year-olds or younger. So young little boys that are Caucasian. And I was 24. I'm a woman and I'm African American. So I didn't believe that I had that cancer. I initially thought that they misdiagnosed me. I was like, there's absolutely no way I have this. Like, I don't fit any of the, check any of the boxes. Like, this isn't possible. Plus, I was in the best shape of my life. I literally had like a six-pack. I was in shape. I'm like working out 1,000 times a day. I'm just doing so well and at the top of my health physique back in, in 2008 and 9. So when they told me I was sick with cancer, it didn't make any sense. And then I was not like well educated or well versed on cancer. So I thought that cancer meant that you were bald. I don't know why, but that's what I associated it with, right? And so I'm like looking at my hair, like how I'm not bald, I'm not balding, I'm like, how is this even possible? How's this work? I didn't know it was the chemotherapy. I thought, people who had cancer were just because they were bald. Like that's one of the things. So, I'm 24, I'm not connecting any dots. I had no clue what this was. I didn't know you could get cancer anywhere else in the body besides your breast, your lung, brain cancer, throat cancer, all stomach cancer, all the other cancers you hear about. I didn't know you could get it in your leg, in your thumb, on your ribs, on your spine. I didn't know that. So it was just a complete shocker, like really waking me up and, shaking me a bit and realizing that I would possibly be passing away and facing my own mortality was, it was really hard, but it was an interesting experience.
I was going to say that must have been quite terrifying at a young age to get told that. And then how do you express that to your friends and family? How do you express that you're scared, or do you try and, bottle it up and show that put it on this front that you're not scared? I mean, how did you deal with that?
Do people even act like they're not scared? Do you think that's the thing? I've never met anybody who or maybe they do, because some people don't even tell their family members that they're sick with cancer. They just keep it a secret. How crazy is that? I wasn't like that. I told everybody. I was like, oh my God, like what's happening to me? I'm dying. Like life is terrible. Like what's going on? And I just couldn't believe that it was happening. But I also, like I told different people, those who were listening, but I also didn't want like a lot of people coming to visit me. I did not want, like I had a couple of friends that would try to come and visit. I would not give them the, my location where I was at. I didn't want them to see how terrible I looked. Like it was just so night and day. It was completely different. So I did not want them to come visit me. And so I also, whenever I do my speaking engagements with people, I always ask them or highlight that it's important that you talk to them as they're still an individual, but ask them what type of support that they want, because they might not want you to show up at the hospital. They might not want you to send flowers. Like it's important to know what it is that they would like to have from you or as a support system versus just guessing, So I think if they would have been a bit more open and communicating with me and asked me what I need, I think that would have been a better situation versus me dipping and dodging away from them and not trying to see them and stuff. So,
well, it was so at the moment that you were informed, you were in Iraq. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was it was 2008. It was around December timeframe, and I was working out a lot. I was experiencing extreme fatigue. And that was one of the symptoms. But I thought because I was 24, I'm deployed in Iraq and I'm in the middle of a war zone, I'm literally like worlds away from my family. It's Christmas time. I'm working out like crazy. So I thought I was just so tired and like lethargic and exhausted from like everything outside that was happening. But like inside, there was like extreme turmoil going on and my body was turning on itself. And then in January 2009, about a month later, I had discovered the lump in my leg. And then that's when I showed a couple of different people, and everyone just was so concerned and thought something was wrong. And I didn't think anything was wrong because, again, I don't know much about cancer. I never even knew about a tumor. I didn't know. So I didn't think anything was wrong. I thought maybe I pulled a muscle, or like maybe it was like some sort of weird infection. Like I had no clue. But because everybody else was so concerned, I knew that if I showed the doctors, that they would be like, oh my God, you need to take a couple of days off. And so that was my whole entire like motivation for that. If I show the doctors, they're going to say you get quarters, which is like days off, and then I'll be able to sleep, catch up on my rest, and everything would be fine. But I initially discovered it in Iraq in 2008.
So was the US Army's response to that? Did they send you home quite soon after?
Yeah, so they actually gave me a choice. So I showed her name was Captain May. I showed her my leg. She immediately sends me to Baghdad that same day. I leave like 8:30 at night or something. Get to Baghdad. They do a CT scan of my leg. And the doctor, he was a guy, comes over and he says, we can be for sure, like there's blood flowing in and out. However, it's up to you. Like you can go back to Fabeko or you can go to Germany. Like it's your choice. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, why would I go to Germany? He says, well, you need to get an MRI. I'm like, okay. He's like, but it's, we don't see anything wrong with it. Like you can, it's up to you. Had I not been exhausted and not listened to my body, I would have went back. It would have spread and I would have died, but because I was so exhausted, so tired, and I wanted so much sleep, I went to Germany, got the MRI. Then I found out it's a tumor. And then from there, they misdiagnosed me with the wrong cancer. They say it's a nerve sheath tumor, not Ewing sarcoma. And then I get to Walter Reed Medical Center, which is in Washington, D.C. in the States. And then that's when I find out it's Ewing sarcoma cancer, a different cancer, and start my treatment process.
So that all, all that fear, I imagine, being in Iraq is, probably quite a scary place to be at certain times, then being told the cancer, then, being the tired and that emotional drain, how, that must have been really draining. Yeah. What did you do to sort of refocus your mind and sort of take your attention off of that negative things happening in your life?
When I got to Germany, I didn't know, at first that I had cancer. I had no clue. So I'm still working out at this point. I'm still walking around. I'm like walking around the streets of Germany, eating candy, drinking beer, like doing all this crazy stuff. I had no clue what was going on. I just didn't know. So when I finally find out it's a tumor, then I find out it's cancer, I go immediately into like this super dark depression. Like I start taking a bunch of sleeping pills. I'm just like sleeping as much as I can because every moment that I'm awake, I'm thinking about death and like what's going to be happening and, how I just can't believe that this is going on. Like 1 minute I'm okay. The next minute I'm, going to be meeting my maker. Like, what the hell is going on? Like, how is this possible? So I just got super depressed, and my method of coping with it was just sleeping and taking medication. So I not like medication, like I was trying to kill myself, but just trying to keep myself asleep. So my mind wasn't constantly going. So like the first 2 weeks, I just slept and slept and slept and slept. I slept as much as I could, got to Walter Reed. And then, I couldn't really sleep that much there because I have to, be awake, take the treatment and all that. But it was really hard. I was depressed for a while. Mm-hmm.
So was there a point where the depression ended? Maybe the cancer ended? How did they relate within each other? Did you come to terms with the cancer? Or was it not until after you were given sort of like, have you been given the all clear?
Oh yeah. I'm clear.
Yeah. So was it after that?
Years ago. I'm good now.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So when I get to Walter Reed, my mom actually ends up quitting her job, leaving everything in Texas, and she comes and she takes care of me in Walter Reed. So also my sister's also deployed at this time. So there's 2 daughters that are deployed. My sister's at a different fob. I was at another fob, but we're both deployed in the middle of war. And my sister has a baby. So my mom is watching her son. His name is Donovan. So she leaves everything, comes to be with me in the hospital, not knowing if she'd have a place to sleep, if they would have food, what she was, how's she going to get a job? She doesn't have a car. How's she going to get around? Who's going to watch this baby during daycare hours? But she didn't care. She left everything to come take care of me. So they literally, both of them, slept on the couch for a while until the military like provided her a stipend and a home and like all of that stuff. But she came to my savior. She was there. She was my support system. So I had her the entire time. But I feel like when you go to the doctors, you go there to get answers, right? And sometimes they don't tell you what you want to hear. And that's what was happening with me. They were preparing me to die. They thought they told me I had a year left to live. They told me that if I didn't pass away in a year, I wouldn't make it past 5 years. There's like no possible way. They were telling me that it would spread to my lungs, my spinal cord, my brainstem. They were having me update my will. So they were just really trying to prepare me for death. And I remember my mom just being like, I understand the doctors don't believe that you're going to make it, or, like you have the odds really stacked against you, but you have to like rearrange your thought process. We have to start thinking about something more positive, more optimistic. And so I was like on lots of antidepressants and medication and stuff because I was feeling like super suicidal. I was like, I'm going to jump out this window. Like, I don't know how I'm going to handle all of this. So they put me on lots of medication, which calmed me down. And I was able to like intake more information from my mom, but she made a little sign that said, do not enter unless you're giving me treatment, medication, taking my labs or giving me food. So she had this little thing. So that stopped all of the banter that kept coming in, doctors checking on me, updating my will, asking me if I'm prepared, to pass away. And I had a priest coming in with this huge crucifix and like praying over me and asking me if I believe in Jesus. I was like, what is going on? So she stopped all of that. And she would just like pound in my head that everything was going to be okay. If I started talking negatively, she would shush me all the time and tell me to stop. She would, we would have these like little games where she'd be like, listen, when this is all over, you're going to tell your story. You're going to be a miracle story. You're going to change so many lives. This is going to happen. And we would just fantasize about what was going to be happening. Did I think any of it was going to come true? I don't know, but it did, I had no clue. But because she was there to interfere with all of the negative, pessimistic stuff that I was being fed on a daily basis, like it totally changed the way I was responding to the treatment, my attitude, like my future, like it totally changed everything. So her being there really helped, I think, like propel me on the right direction. And I feel like her support system really, she saved my life.
Yeah, an absolute rock
Yes.
for you in the darkest point of your life, the darkest point of your life, there for you to cling on to. And like you say, all those negative things that were coming in your way, that negativity holds energy.
It does.
And that positivity holds energy as well. And it's, the battle between negativity and positivity has an effect physiologically on your body.
It does. It does. Mm-hmm.
Powerful stuff, and since then, so obviously you had a good routine whilst you were in Iraq working out and training. You got diagnosed, maybe went into a bit of a bad routine. Since then, being given the all clear, what is your routine more like now, in reflection of all that?
Now it's definitely, I just understand how powerful our words are. I understand that like everything starts, with what we're thinking and what we're feeling, and that's going to like manifest and create our reality. So I'm really aware of how I talk, how I interact with people, how I talk to myself, like my own self-talk. Like sometimes I'll, say crazy stuff to myself, whatever it is. It might not be a nice compliment or it's, something mean. I, quickly turn it around and change that because I want to live a healthy, prosperous, successful life. And in order to do that, I need to speak that and feel that and embody that. So that has just definitely changed my life. Just knowing how strong our words are and how we can create anything into reality. So that I've used those lessons from 2009 all the way up until my current life. And it's been amazing, really life transforming.
So it's one of those situations where something really bad has got to happen to you in order for you to grow and to blossom into a new person. And
isn't that, I feel like that's just so, that sucks that it has to be like that. But I feel like that's when people, I think, so I was listening to this guy, his name is Dr. Joe Dispenza. I don't know if you know who he is. He's absolutely amazing. This guy is incredible. So cool. But he was talking about how people get in like a routine, right? And then when their routine is disrupted, they're able to look at that routine from a different perspective and then kind of pinpoint what's going on and fix different things and stuff like that. So I think that's what, happened. I get this terrible disease. I start looking at life from a different perspective. Now I have a higher like understanding or evaluation with what I want to do now. And so like things change. But he was just, I was just explaining what he says, but I agree. Yes.
Yeah. Blossom. So that obviously whole journey is what probably, is what I believe maybe has led you to write the book, The Enemy Inside Me. Mm-hmm. And that's an incredible thing. It's a very creative thing to do. Was that process a good process to put into your routine and in your life to encourage the healing?
Yeah. I originally wrote, it started out as a journal, and because everyone was just so sure I was going to die, I wanted to leave something for my nephew. So it was like a journal. So it started out like, what we were doing, what was happening, what was going on, and, how sorry I was that I was going to be leaving and missing everything in his life, his soccer games, his prom dates, like everything, who he is, like him walking, like missing so much from this little kid. And I was just so sad about it. So I wanted to leave something that was there, even if it wasn't like, anything long, just something. So he knew that I was here, I existed, I loved him, something tangible versus just, words and memories that he can't remember. He was 2. So wanted to leave him something. And then as we're, as I'm going through the treatment, I remember talking to my mom, and one of the days I was writing my journal, she was just saying like how cool it would be to make it a book. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, if I get to live, like I'm going to make this a book someday. And so it happened. And now you have to kind of live up to what you have been bargaining with God. And I feel like that a lot of people forget about that. So when you're going through a really hard time in life, and a lot of people bargain with God or with whatever it is they say, like, I'm going to do this better next time, or I'm going to try this next time. If I get to live, I'm going to do this. So I feel like it's so important that we live up to those things and not just, just be saying to say it. So one of it was to publish a book. And so I had to do it. I ended up going to a school called SCAD, and I used that journal as my thesis. And so I had them publish it. I had them, edit it, go over it, provided me feedback, and got all that ready and done. And then I had a thesis, and that was my quote unquote book. And so I just took all of their edits, everything that they said to change, add, all that, created a book out of it, and then I published it. But it all started out as a journal to my nephew in the event that I did pass away.
Wow, there's a lot of love in it then. So it's passionate. It's got your empathy, your emotions in it.
Yeah, I had to take some of it out because it had to be like more like a book, but yeah, there's a lot that's not in there from like him and I's perspective, like what was going on, because that wasn't it's more about like my journey, but he was the motivation for it. All those bits and parts of him and I interacting it's on another computer, and it's not published.
Nah, it's just for you. Just for you, yeah.
Just for me.
Yeah. So where can people find your book? Is it Amazon?
Yep, Amazon. They can go to my website, which is brandilbenson.com. And I don't believe it's in Barnes & Noble, but it's anywhere there's online books.
Fantastic. That's awesome. The last part of your bio mentions your mission to provide a blueprint, strategy, and resources for survivors to take charge of their healing and wellness.
Yep.
Do you want to talk about that? The blueprint?
Yeah.
That sounds like a really positive move.
Yeah, it's good. I feel like when any of us experience any type of trauma, big or small, especially something large like cancer, or, an amputation, or maybe a divorce, death, anything. It's really important that we know that it's okay to have these feelings and these emotions that are coming up that are making you feel sad, angry, or whatever it is. But it's also really important to know that you have to let go of that old individual, that you in a sense have to mourn that person because they essentially died as well, because you are not the same person anymore. I feel like people sometimes don't understand that concept of you're not that old individual from the past, you're somebody else. So now you have a whole new opportunity to rebrand yourself, to be something new, to be something different, because you are somebody different. I feel like a lot of people don't understand that concept. And that's why we are constantly living in the past, because you're living out these old emotions, these old person that used to be something, like I used to be great at soccer, I used to be all these things, but you're in the here and now. Like, why are we living in the past? So I just try to point that out and let them know that really we're like the MVP of our own life. We need to, and we have charge of our own life. If we want to live a prosperous or happy future or a happy life in the present moment, you have to let go of that old person, that old individual, because there's no way we can move forward to make new memories, to have new experiences if we're constantly living in the past. And so I just try to provide that foundation and let them know that's fine. It's okay. It is scary. It is really hard, but not a lot of people have that opportunity to start over. People would love that. And I think if you look at it from a different perspective and not something negative, it could be something really empowering.
Yeah. I think it's a super powerful message. Your Instagram and, the way that you conduct yourself online can be a ray of sunshine for somebody who's going through the same sort of thing. And they, hopefully they survive too, and they get through it, and they can go on to blossom and prosper like you have. So it's good to show and to be that positivity to the people who may be going through something, and they might have the exact same experience. People coming into their room saying, "You've not got long to live. You need to write a will," and they don't need that negativity. They need the positivity.
Yeah, I agree. I really do. And when I was going through my treatment and the whole cancer experience, social media wasn't, how it is right now. So I feel like now you can go on, you can look for people, see how their life is going right now. And you can pull like a role model kind of like into your existence, into your life, your awareness. And you can see, okay, well, if Brandi Benson made it, like, I think I have a little bit more push inside of me. Like, I feel like they can be a little bit more hopeful. I didn't have that. I just had straight up statistics that said I was going to die. And I was like, what the hell? This is so bad. But I think it's important that we also shed light. Yes, it's a terrible disease. However, you can still thrive and still do well and still experience all the things you want in life, even though you're, in remission or survivor or whatever it is.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you are the blueprint. I mean, you've gone through it. So well done. You've got the book out there on Amazon, The Enemy Inside Me. You're thriving. You're showing that there is a light at the end of the tunnel for those people that are going through it. Amazing.
Thank you so much.
Stuff. Is there any final points you want to raise before we finish it up?
Not right now. Oh, gosh. I don't think so. No, nothing else.
That's fine. I really appreciate having you on. I'm hoping this message will get out to some people and they'll pick it up and they'll realize the story that we've just talked about, the situation you're in. Hopefully people won't be able to what am I trying to say? Hopefully people won't be going through that situation, but there are people that are going through that. So let's give our thoughts to them.
Right. And I think it's important not to give up on yourself, always believe in yourself. There's miracles every single day.
So there you go. You did have a final point.
Yeah, right. I know. It's like, that's what I'll say. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, nice one. Brilliant. I really appreciate having you on, Brandi. You've been fantastic. I look forward to get this episode out there.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me. Have a lovely day. Is it Mother's Day for you guys over there?
No, it's not. Our Mother's Day is different. There's a few things that are different over here. There was a thing I was going to say. Sorry.
Do you guys have Mother's Day there?
Yeah, we have Mothers and Mother's Day.
Okay, yeah, I know I have mothers, but I don't know if Mother's Day. I have no clue. Okay, cool.
Now, there's a thing I was going to talk to you about Celsius and Fahrenheit, actually, because I noticed that you've got the medical grade water thing on your Instagram, and I've just recently started doing cold water submersion. So it's like a mental health sort of thing. You dunk yourself in the cold water, and it's that exact moment in your life when you think, don't do it. But you take control of your fight or flight responses, and you do it anyway.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask you, because you do the medical grade water stuff, whether or not I should. Right, this sounds weird. I've got a tank in my garden, not a tank, not like a army tank, like a big tank of water in my garden, and I know that eventually the sun's going to get on it and it's going to go gangrene. So I was thinking about not gangrene, whatever, molded, all that green stuff.
Yeah, the green stuff, whatever that is.
So I was thinking about putting a tablet in there of oh my god, I'm really chlorine. Yeah, I was thinking about putting a chlorine tablet in there, but I know you do the purified water from the medical grade water. What would you think about bathing in chlorine and that sort of stuff now? Is that something you still do? Or
I don't think you should bathe in chlorine. What if you just put some sort of plastic sheet thing over it?
Oh yeah, it has that as well, but it's not got any movement in it, so eventually it'll go stagnant.
Right. So you can't like change it. Do you not change the water ever?
Yeah, I could, but it's a big tank of water it's ice cold, super cold.
Yeah, that's really great stuff. We have one, but it's a big trash can bin. It sounds crazy, but it's like,
How'd you do it as well?
Yeah. It's so you like dunk in it and sit in it, and you stay for like 10 minutes, and it's super cold, and you're questioning, your life and if you want to be doing this. But I don't think chlorine is good for the body. No, but
no. I bought the chlorine, but I wasn't sure whether or not to do it, because
I don't think that's good for the body.
No, it's in all our swimming pools as well, and some of our food.
This is true. Well, you know what? I don't know. I have a pool. I don't really get in it very much, but I mean, you could. But I don't know. I don't. Whatever. You let me know how it works out. I have no clue.
Okay, yeah. I just saw that you did the medical grade water, and you wash all of your foods and stuff in the medical grade water, and you show the difference.
Yeah, it's a Kangen water machine, and what it does is there are 7 different settings on there, and you can clean it. So there's one setting, it's 11.5, and it emulsifies the pesticides, the herbicides, all of that, the wax coat, all that stuff that's on all the fruits and the vegetables and the beans and the rice and all that. So it just takes it all off, and then you have like nice clean food to
purified purifies your food.
It's really good.
Yeah. Is that to try and mitigate getting cancer in the future? Is that why you do that?
So of course. Yep, all of that stuff. And I just don't want to be eating or drinking, consuming that stuff. And because I've been predisposed to cancer, like my chances of getting it are much higher than somebody who hasn't had cancer. So I just try to do the things for myself that makes me feel comfortable, that I feel like I'm in control with. Like, I don't want to bite an apple that's full of wax. I don't really want to do that, but if I could clean it off and take it off and then enjoy the apple, I'd rather do that. But it is preventative.
Just so a corporation can have a longer shelf life of their product. Yeah.
This is true. This is true. Yeah.
Hi. Anyway, we'll wrap it up now. It's really nice to speak to you, Brandi. I appreciate having you on. We've covered a lot of good stuff there, I think. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. Have a great day.
Yeah, and you. Speak to you soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. The opinions or views expressed on this podcast are solely of my own or the guests, and do not represent the opinions or views of anybody else or the Ministry of Defence.
Shish kebab, Shawshank Redemption, Chicago! You're out of there!